Heavenly Father, we gather before you, humbly seeking your divine wisdom. Grant us ears attuned to the gentle whisper of prudence, hearts discerning to distinguish true need from wanting, and tongues disciplined to speak only words that build balance and but betterment. Your word in Proverbs 28:26 declares, "Whoever trusts in his own mind is a fool, but he who walks in wisdom will be delivered." Lord, guide us to walk in your wisdom, setting aside lazy bias and embracing decisions rooted in truth and sound judgment. Let us be budgeted to be no monumental, empty rhetoric, but to a testament to the thoughtful restraint. May our deliberations reflect clarity, unity, and stewardship, aligning our plans with your purpose. Deliver us from error and lead us to choices that honor you and serve the greater citizens of Manitowoc County. In your holy name we pray, amen. Shalom.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call is going around. We have 24 members present. Supervisor Nadel is excused. Please keep him in your prayers. Proclamations. We'll start with our proclamation for Manitowoc County America Recycles Day 2025. And if you are here to join for that proclamation, you can meet me up at the podium. Whereas, Manitowoc County residents generate more than 30,000 tons of solid waste per year, and this solid waste is buried at the local landfill site. And whereas Manitowoc County residents annually recycle or compost more than 18,000 tons of material through various collections programs. And whereas the Manitowoc County Recycling Facility is the most utilized municipal recycling program in Manitowoc County, serving all county residents, and having helped reduce the volume of solid waste going to the landfill site from 58,000 tons per year in the early 90s, before the existing recycling program, to the present yearly tonnage of about 30,000 tons. And whereas recycling saves precious energy, conserves valuable natural resources, protects the environment, reduces landfill needs, and has a positive economic impact. And whereas Manitowoc County residents can do more to reduce and recycle through education and participation. And whereas waste reduction and the purchase of recycled content products are critically important elements of environmentally responsible waste management programs. And whereas America Recycles Day is a national promotion to help raise awareness and provide education about recycling, reducing recycling contamination, and buying recycled products. And now, therefore, I, Bob Ziegelbauer, County Executive, and Tyler Martell, County Board Chairperson, proclaim Sunday, November 15th, 2025, America Recycles Day 2025 in Manitowoc County.
On behalf of Ascend Services, I just want to, I'll be accepting this proclamation, and as most of you know, I get to come here once a year to receive this, but also to express our gratitude for the opportunity to continue to work with the county in providing work opportunities for people with disabilities. So thank you.
Our next proclamation is for annual Crash Responder Safety Week. Whereas crash responders, including law enforcement officers, firefighters, emergency medical services, tow operators, and transportation personnel provide essential services that safeguard motorists and restore the safe flow of traffic after roadway incidents. And whereas Manitowoc County recognizes the authority of Wisconsin statutes, including the Move Over Law, which requires motorists to slow down or move over to provide a safety zone for those working along our roads. And whereas the Wisconsin Department of Transportation, together with counties and municipalities, promotes Crash Responder Safety Week to educate the public and reduce secondary crashes that put first responders and motorists at risk. And whereas roadway incidents are a leading cause of injury and death to first responders nationwide, underscoring the urgent need for motorists to drive attentively, especially in work zones and areas where responders are present. And now therefore, we, Bob Zugelbauer, County Executive, and Tyler Martell, County Board Chairman, along with the Manitowoc County Board of Supervisors, hereby proclaim November 17th through November 21st, 2025, as Crash Responder Safety Week in Manitowoc County. We urge all citizens to observe safe driving practices, comply with the Move Over Law, and join in recognizing the dedication and service of our crash responders.
Hello. Ensuring that responders are safe is one of the most critical responsibilities of the Joint Dispatch Center. We provide safety instructions to callers reporting vehicle accidents and relay detailed, accurate information to police, fire, and EMS. Public education is a very important part of keeping motorists and responders safe while handling these calls. Thank you for issuing this proclamation to promote public awareness and recognize the dedication of crash responders.
Okay, that takes us into public comment. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak tonight? Any members of the public wishing to speak? All right, if you could just join us up at the podium and state your name for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Hayes. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight about the proposed 2026 county budget. I wish I could express confidence in this plan, but I'm deeply concerned for what it tells us, not just about our finances, but also about the approach to leadership in our county. Year after year, we see the same pattern. Departments scrambling to patch holes, stretching dollars thin, and hoping last-minute fixes will be enough. This is not by accident. This is the result of a county executive who's failed to guide our department heads to plan ahead, build strong budgeting practices, and prepare for the bumps in the road that we all know are coming. We heard him take responsibility for budget issues in the past, only to have the county board, county departments, and county residents left to fix or attempt to fix the deficits. Responsible leadership means making the hard decisions early and not crossing our fingers and patching our way through to bail us out at the 11th hour. I've sat in committee meetings and listened to county board discussion. I even connected with county board members after committee meetings. One of the most disappointing experiences that I wanted to share was one of the experiences that I had listening to a board member actually ask what GPR, or general purpose revenue, stood for while they were voting on adding positions, which in and of itself is deeply concerning. Is this really the level of leadership and competence that we're operating with, and how did we get here? The budget as it stands show little forward thinking and even less effort to track or anticipate changes in available funding streams. The budget deficit for Manitowoc County was known well over a year ago, and the state that continues to be referenced in our meetings, whether that's the governor's office or the legislature, they've been discussing concerns with budgets and funding for quite some time. Where have we been, and why are there no proactive plans to fix the issues before going into the next budget cycle? The risks this creates for our safety and our infrastructure and the well-being of Manitowoc County residents is unacceptable. Also, the position this puts our line staff and our department leadership and administration in when they strive and yet struggle to provide essential mandated services. Even more concerning is the message it sends that we're willing to get by with bare minimums rather than investing carefully and making sure our community's needs are met year after year. The people who live and work here deserve real leadership, a steady hand that anticipates challenges and builds for the future rather than reacting to crises only when they hit. The county board, you deserve to receive sound proposals rather than emails with bicker and banter about who said what, when, and why, only being left in the middle trying to decipher between what is fact or fiction. At this time, especially with what's occurring at the federal
about 30
budget,
seconds
this
remaining.
is not the time for such inappropriate business. Manitowoc County residents deserve a government that treats their tax dollars with respect and puts their safety and well-being first. They deserve plans put forward proactively because it's clear we are out of touch with what is happening at the state and federal levels, and this starts with our county executive. We can and must do better if we want stronger, safer, and more secure future for our Manitowoc County residents. We need leaders like yourselves who are willing to stand up, take responsibility, put residents first, no matter how difficult these choices may be. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else wishing to speak tonight? Anybody else wishing to speak? For a third and final time, anybody wishing to submit public input? Okay, seeing none, I will close public input. That'll take us to the consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that supervisors would like to see removed? Any items on the consent agenda that we would like to see removed for special consideration? Okay, seeing none, I'd look for a motion to approve the consent agenda. Motion by Supervisor Benke, second by Supervisor Sikowitz. And the clerk will conduct the vote.
Supervisors will now vote on the consent agenda.
Consent agenda is approved. That'll take us to our committee reports. Aging and Disability Board, Supervisor Shimulus.
There is no report tonight.
Thank you. Board of Health, Supervisor Metzger.
We met tonight and we talked about a grant that we're going to be getting for $39,000. And staff time will be $20,644. Vaccine storage, we're going to get a freezer and 2 refrigerators. And then we're going to promote the health with getting the shots. And that would come to $39,000, and the grant was approved. And I so move.
Okay, there's a motion and a second by Supervisor Niles. Any discussion on the resolution? Okay, seeing none, the clerk will conduct the vote.
Supervisors will now vote on the resolution accepting routine immunization through Community Engagement Rice Grant.
And the resolution passes. Anything else, Supervisor Metzger?
Our next meeting will be January 8th.
Thank you. Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, Supervisor Falkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No report.
Thank you. No report for the Executive Committee. Expo Ice Center Board, Supervisor Benke.
No report, Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry, I accidentally cut you off.
They will meet tomorrow night, November 5th.
Thank you. Supervisor Hanson. Where are you sitting? There we go.
We met before tonight's county board meeting to clean up some things and get the resolution ready that you'll be voting on shortly. We also agreed to the estimates of value of some property that we will be selling to the public. Before we get into the resolutions, I just want to correct some information that was given to the county board at our last meeting by one of our public speakers. There were comments made about the county losing $11 million from the general fund. And that money wasn't lost. It wasn't spent in frivolous ways. It wasn't put in anybody's pocket. That money over the course of years was used to bring down the tax levy for residents of the county. General fund is a fund where money goes, and sometimes that fund starts getting large, It's like almost a savings account. It starts getting large. Well, that was spent down over the years to keep the tax level low. And I think the board and the executive deserve credit for using it in that manner. Sometimes that it gets too low, and then we have situations like we had last year where there wasn't extra money for the explosion of expenses in some departments. But I also am not sure it's good to have $11 million sitting in a savings fund that's taxpayer money. So we use that to keep taxes low, and it didn't go into anybody's pockets as insinuated at the last meeting. So that being said, we have two resolutions tonight. The first resolution I'm putting forward is adopting the 2026 budget and property levy. So I move that we adopt this resolution for the budget for next year.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second? Second by Supervisor Benke. Discussion. Yes, Supervisor Hanson?
Well, just a few points that the budget that you are voting on was amended a few different ways from what the county executive presented from his budget. It was amended to include the AI for the sheriff's department. It was amended to approve the RFP for the body cam program that he wants. The committee approved using opioid money if the personnel committee approves the two new positions for the coroner, but we did not approve those positions. We said you could use the opioid money. Then after discussion at the end of the last finance meeting, we would have to make sure that that money is being used appropriately. So we'll wait to see if personnel would approve those two positions before we decide if that money can actually be used there. So that does not affect the budget at all. Dome project loan was taken out of the budget, the 1.965 million borrowing to fix the dome. The budget did come up with an additional 1% increase in wages to make it a 2% increase for the employees. And I believe that's it, unless I'm forgetting something that we did. But I think that's the amendments that we put in Thursday night. So that's the amended budget. If you have questions, we'll be happy to answer that. Or if you have other ideas, we'll consider them now.
Thank you. And Supervisor Hanson, I think I was really impressed to see a lot of supervisors were at that finance meeting. And so it was good that we had such a good turnout for that meeting. So everybody was involved in those discussions. Supervisor Metzger.
I'd like to amend a motion to, for the highway department, they are going to be getting a 2% raise and then another 2% raise. Am I allowed to speak on that right now, or?
Yep, you're okay. What you wanted to make a motion?
Yes, I want to make amendment to that. I think that all the employees should be treated equally, that all the departments are very important, that we shouldn't just pick one department out. And they get the 2%, and then there's some kind of problems in that department, and then if that gets corrected, then they get the other 2%. I think that the department head should be taking care of the issues that are in that department. That's what he's being paid for. And if they get that 4% raise in 2026, it's going to cost $82,931. I think, we're watching what we spend, where we spend it, and I just think that that's a little high. During the meeting, the personnel meeting, they also approved that they can get started above midpoint at any time. So that is my point, that I just don't feel that it should be the 4%.
Okay, so can we just clarify on the motion? So the motion is to remove the additional 2 to 4% for the highway department? The incentive pay for the highway department, and the total was $82,931. Does that work for a motion? I know we have discussed this at the committee level. Supervisor Benke?
It's not a proper motion because you're not really delegating where that money is going. In the motion, it should say dollars taken out, where's the dollar going? To be a proper motion.
The dollars. I'm just saying, we don't have the
Well, hang-
money.
And let's not get into a back and forth. I just want to,
I think I can assist in explaining what Supervisor Banky is getting at. What Supervisor Banky is getting at is that if you decrease a expense line, you need to essentially increase or decrease an accompanying revenue line as well. So if you're gonna take money out of one account, you've gotta take it or put it into another line item in order to balance the budget. Otherwise, the budget's always gonna be out of balance. I don't make a recommendation. That's a policy decision for the county board.
Supervisor Metzger, so just correct me if I'm wrong, Peter. That could be taken to reduce the tax levy. It could be taken to, I know there's the borrowing of the $370,000 on capital projects in public works. It could be moved to that. It could be used to fund any of the other projects that we discussed. So to make a proper motion, you'd make a recommendation where you'd like to see a reduction. Okay, so the capital projects, that $370,000, you would motion to remove I just want to make sure I'm following and I can understand. Remove the incentive pay from the highway department and reduce the $370,000 in additional borrowing for capital projects by $82,923? 31. Is that a proper motion? That would be a proper motion. Okay, is there a second for that motion? I will second that motion. Supervisor Zimmer, would you like to speak any more to your motion, Supervisor Metzger, before I move on to other speakers? No. Okay, Supervisor Zimmer.
I'm just wondering if you can explain the logic behind what seems to be a 4% increase for the highway department. But why did that occur?
How that occurred is similar to the jailers last year. We made an adjustment to their wages last year above and beyond the normal, what everybody else got. The year before, we did that as well to another portion of the budget we raised because we're reactionary. We're reacting to the market. If you look on your desk, you should have gotten a sheet specifically to the wage scales of highway departments comparable throughout the area, and we were quite low. We have a hard time right now we have 5 openings at the highway department, and we had 5 candidates the other day. 3 were unqualified, 1 didn't show up, and the 5th said, I'm not coming for that wage. And if you look at that wage on that sheet, in the red, we were definitely out of line compared to a lot of others. And we're not going to hire anybody if we're not going to get the starting wage. But that's really where it comes. Do we like to be reactionary? No. I would sooner be proactive than reactionary. But when you have 5 openings and you can't fill positions in the highway departments, that's very concerning about plowing snow on I-43 on a Sunday night if you don't have the employees to do it. So that's where the 4% came from. And that's a 2% in the beginning of the year, and it's a 2% after that as well. And I guess, Mr. Chairman, I would also like a clarification if JJ could clarify in that 82,000, if you take that whole 82,000 out, do they still get the 2% if everything else, what that number is? If
Assuming they take 41.
So what was your, can I just ask you to clarify
The
that again?
82,000 number, if we take that 82,000 out and put it somewhere else, how does that affect is that an accurate number? Is that 82,000 an accurate number if we go to a 2% increase that's on the table now from the 4%? Is that 82,000 an accurate number?
Yeah, I would say it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because this would be on top of now that standard 2% rather than on top of that standard 1, okay.
But the 82,000 was on top of at the time, was on top of the 1%, not the 2%.
Correct.
Because that's in the county executive's letter.
Correct.
It's 82,000 above the 1%. Now it's going to be 2%. That 82,000 would be a different number, correct?
It probably would be, might be a little bit higher, but I'd have to run that calculation just to, make sure, because there's so many individuals that were, in that sheet when it was calculated, so. When you look at that number, you're in the, if I could paraphrase, you're in the ballpark.
Are there any other questions for JJ while he's up here on this issue? Okay, then anybody else wishing to speak on the motion to amend the budget? Supervisor Marsh.
I'm just also jumping on to what Supervisor Banky said. We just met, the Personnel Committee just met right before this meeting, and that's when we found out that we're down 5 people now at the Highway Department. It wasn't that way, I mean, it's been going down, and we do need to, I just can see with winter coming, do we not understand that we can't keep people working when we don't respect them? Thank you.
Supervisor Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This has happened a few times over the years sitting on this board where we have had to adjust wages to get employees. Kevin mentioned the jailers. I can remember before that trying to find deputies for the sheriff's department, and we would lose people after they went through some training because we weren't competitive with departments around us. So there are times when you have to change your wage structure a little bit. I agree that it is nice if everybody gets the same raise. However, there are times you have to give a little more to fill those 5 positions. What's it going to cost us if we have to contract because we don't have workers to go plow a highway to keep it open? We're going to have to pay more to get people out doing that job. So we have to have competitive salaries. Hopefully this fixes the position at County Highway. And is it great to do it this way? No. But sometimes because, as Kevin said, we're reactionary to what happens, we get stuck in situations like this. Not just Highway, it's been other departments, we've had to do the same thing. This is hopefully a fix to get them up to a level where we'll have people on the job. Thank you.
Thank you. And before I go to Supervisor Metzger, I just want to remind everybody of our county board rules where you are permitted to speak 2 times on a particular issue for a maximum of 20 minutes per time. So I just want to make sure that everybody remembers that particular rule. So Supervisor Metzger, this will be your 2nd time on this issue. So if you have something to say, say it.
Okay, yes, I do. We already granted that they could be hired above midpoint, which has already given them more of a raise. And all the departments are short. Yes, 5 in highway, but there are, like, there's a nurse short in the health department. There's always positions that were short. The jailers are always short. I just think, and we want to go like to market, well, then we need to do all the employees for market what they're really worth, which then we'd have to do the wage study, and that costs money too. We're trying to save money here. I'm just saying that is a point where we could possibly save some money. Also, in the budget, it says that the plan for $2,877.84 would be in 2025, besides what I had given, the $82,931.76 for 2026. So I'm just saying we're trying to find where money is. We're very tight on money. I just think that we need to watch what we're spending.
Thank you. Supervisor Niles.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to be voting against this amendment. The issue that we have right now with the 5 current openings at Highway is extraordinarily concerning. And I sit on the Personnel Committee, and I've been on this term so far. And last year, we did the same thing with the jail. And this year, we're doing it with Highway. And the midpoint hiring is a discretionary decision based on the circumstances. And it's not to state that everybody's going to be hired above midpoint, but it is an option. It's a tool in the toolbox for Highway to attract and retain people. I live on a county highway, and I can only imagine what kind of a state we'd be in if we carry these 5 openings through winter. We're talking about county roads not getting plowed till the middle of the day, and with that would potentially shut down our county. So as I said, I'll be voting against this amendment. We need to be reactionary. Unfortunately, that's the state we're in. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Supervisor Hummel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just looking at this Highway Department wage survey sheet that got sent out, we are the lowest in our surrounding counties for starting wage. Sheboygan, I know it shows 24. They just went through a wage study. They're at 2604 is their lowest now. So if we're competing, I agree that all departments are important. We've made adjustments through the years to get certain departments that fell extremely short. For example, the jailers, dispatchers. It's Highway's time. And I agree with Supervisor Metzger that maybe it is time to do a wage study to see that we maybe don't run into these issues in the future. But as of right now, I am not in favor of that motion, just based off of what we have in front of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Shimalunas.
I'm just curious, if you're taking this 82,000 and so on from capital projects, which capital projects? Or is that something that's determined later? Does anybody know?
So what the proposal is, it would be to reduce the wages line item in the highway department and use that $82,000 roughly to reduce the amount of borrowing for capital projects from $370,000 to approximately $287,000. So instead of borrowing that $370,000, it would be to borrow less and use the general revenue, the general purpose funds, in addition to the borrowing. It does not cut any projects. It's just how the projects are paid for.
Does that answer your question, Supervisor Shimalunas? Do you have anything else you'd like to comment? No. Thank you. Supervisor Klein.
Yes, I was curious, what was the offer we made to the gentleman who refused because the wage wasn't large enough? Did we go midpoint or did we go to the extreme?
I assumed that he was offered midpoint. I mean, if you look at the red, the 2471, and you look at what's going to be part of the proposal, we're moving from 2471 to 2520. That's not a lot. I mean, that's a small amount to be moving up. It's not like we're going to change the world with this proposal. Wow, just the fact that we're discussing the fact of this is just mind-boggling.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the amendment? Okay, seeing none, the clerk will conduct the vote.
Supervisors are now going to vote on the motion to amend the resolution, reducing highway incentive pay from 4% to 2% in the amount of $82,931.76, and reducing the borrowing for capital projects.
That motion fails. Any other, so now we're back to the main motion to approve the budget. Is there any discussion on the budget? Supervisor Metzger.
I'd like to talk a little about the nepotism policy. They're changing that. Years ago, it used to be that you could not work in the same department, and I really thought that worked out well. Now they're changing it that if it's somebody that's related to somebody on county board or the county exec, that you really shouldn't be working for the county, unless if it's a special position, then you gotta vote in front of the county board who can and who cannot work for the county. I think that's kind of limiting it kind of far. I'm wondering why HR isn't included in that. And in the past, we've had someone that hired relatives. I think that's just a little bit far on that. I would like to see it just that you cannot work in the same department as a relative. Thank you.
Was that a motion, Supervisor Metzger, or are you just making a comment?
But if somebody just wants to discuss it,
Okay.
that would be great too. I'd like to know what everybody else thinks.
Okay. We're figuring out how to word your motion. So Supervisor Metzger, if you're looking to keep our nepotism policy the same as it is currently, then the best way to do that motion would be to strike lines 150 through 184 on the resolution. It would basically remove any reference to a nepotism policy from the resolution, and that would effectively keep it the same as it is now.
Yes.
A second on that motion. Second by Supervisor Matthew Phipps. Discussion on the motion to strike the nepotism policy. Supervisor Hanson.
I might be asking a strange question, but can I ask, maybe the Corp Council can help, why is this in the budget? This policy?
I can't answer that. This is part of the proposal that came from Finance and the county executive. As far as the rationale behind that, I don't know.
Anything else, Supervisor Hanson?
And do it somewhere else. Just completely take it out, discuss it, and I'm just confused why it's something to do with the budget.
Okay, so with the motion, it would be stricken, and then I suppose it would be up to personnel to discuss that in the future if they would like to discuss that. Supervisor Matthew Phipps?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Hanson, as well. I believe the way this is being rolled out is more like an executive order, and it was kind of thrown into the budget. It should have been brought to the county board through personnel. I read that right away. Thank you, Metzner, as well, because of this just does not make any sense. What I have been seeing as a reoccurring theme is we're just getting a lot of information thrown at us during budget time. I would like to just back up a little bit about what we just talked about with the highway department. That could have came through personnel mid-year. Instead, it was just bundled together, and then we start trying to divide hairs at the end of the year, budget time, and there's just not enough time to talk about it appropriately. So I would be in support of striking this from the budget as well. Sent it back to personnel. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Hummel?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I agree that this should be stricken out of the budget. And sent personnel for further review and go through the proper channels that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Zimmer.
Yes, I agree as well. Strike it from the budget and consider it later.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing none, the clerk will conduct the vote. I just want to say that I will be abstaining from this vote.
Supervisors will now vote on the motion to amend the resolution, striking lines 150 to 184 regarding nepotism.
Okay, and the motion passes, so the nepotism policy is no longer in the budget. Now we're back to the budget as amended. Any discussion on the budget? Supervisor Zimmer?
All right, now, I'm a little confused. Didn't we strike those particular lines and not the entire document?
We just removed any of the items referring to the nepotism policy. So now the resolution will stand just without those lines. Any other discussion on the budget? Supervisor Supervisor Sheasel.
Okay, so the next vote we're taking is on the budget or the amendment that Mr. Banky, that Supervisor Banky came up with?
Right now, we're on the main motion to adopt the budget, unless there's another amendment that we would like to consider.
Okay, never mind.
Thank you. Supervisor Bondi.
It was very enlightening a couple weeks ago going to a finance meeting, and I appreciate the efforts that everybody put into looking at that budget. I don't like our budget process. This is the second year that I'm voting on a budget. We get it thrown at an extremely last minute. I wish that these things could be worked out and explained to supervisors as the budget's being prepared throughout the year. It's just overwhelming. To think that there was a 4.5-hour meeting to find $30-some thousand and borrow $300,000 because there's absolutely no wiggle room in this budget is ridiculous. Thinking that a couple years ago we had a $4 million mistake. Excuse me. Then we're told if we pass this sales tax, we'll have all the money we need. To having that all gone and having to propose a levy increase is extremely frustrating. What I do applaud the Finance Committee in is adopting or accepting the request for proposal for the body cams. That is something very, very, very dearly needed in this county. I have the opportunity to talk to several law enforcement people. When I ask about body cams, they just about fell out of their chair when they said, Manitowoc County is that far behind, we don't have body cams yet. So to kick that down the road would have been very responsible, so I appreciate the Finance Committee doing that. In talking to my niece, who's worked for Appleton Police Department, used Axon, and now she works for Autogaming where they don't have it. She has nothing but absolute praise to say about the Axon system. And she says, we will realize money savings rather quickly. Granted, there's some training understanding officers will have to do, but we will save money. So I am very much appreciative that that was put into this budget. My constituents from Kiel are getting a little frustrated with all these increases in a sales tax issue because we're the third largest city. We have our own police departments. We don't need as much law enforcement support as other areas. And we've been asking for over a decade to get some type of help on a property that hasn't paid in taxes because people don't want it and the county won't foreclose it. So there's some frustration in there. And it's hard to say I don't want to vote for this budget when I see things that are needed that are in there, but it's getting a little bit frustrating. There's things we need, but we really need to get this box open earlier, shake it a little harder, discuss with our division heads, and work with the county board and everybody long in advance than about 1 month we get to look at it. Because this is not a working system. We're digging a hole so incredibly fast, I don't know how we're gonna get out of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the budget? Supervisor Metzger.
I guess the part I'm disappointed in is we had the 0.5 sales tax and we approved that. And I thought it was gonna be for things that we wanted above, like what our bills would be. And we have no money. It's like all that money went to human services, which we owed 6 million and that we were in the hole. And I just think that, I was hoping that we'd have money for the dome and all kinds of stuff with that 0.5. We had got $7 million and we have nothing really to show for it. And next year we're gonna have 8 million and it's all gonna be gone. So we're gonna have the same problems next year. That's my frustration with the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Metzger. Supervisor Ryan Phipps.
Thank you, Chairman Martell. As you guys know, I have a lot to say around budget time. Not that any of it matters that much, but I was very concerned about the potential time we're in, but I was concerned about it about 3.5 years ago. I spoke about my concerns then. I said one of the things that concern me is how we're going to continue to fund the employees we have as we proceed in the future. Obviously, with lockdowns, mandates, we knew that that was going to hurt our economy, and it did. And then we add inflation on top of it, employee shortages. So here we are. Again, like the other supervisors, the 0.5% sales tax was proposed. I just want to make this clear. That's the biggest tax increase ever in the history of Manitowoc County, okay? And to be totally transparent, I voted against it. And one of the reasons I voted against it, because I was afraid that this was going to happen. I had somebody remind me today that that 0.5% sales tax was supposed to provide property tax and relief for generations. We didn't even make it through 1 year. So, not that I have every solution, but definitely I agree with Supervisor Bondi that we need to improve this process. As many of you know, the last couple of years I made proposals right at the end of the budget about how to change the budget, and I was met with some criticisms and frustrations, which some are warranted, some aren't. But we need to change this process. We need to be more transparent. And the perfect example is a nepotism policy. We cannot allow stuff to get thrown into the budget to be pushed an agenda. I mean, I've seen it happen. And not to give all the credit to our exec, because we have many problems. I've personally seen the county exec turn down a number of raises that this board gave them. I personally seen the county exec turn down the 0.5% sales tax years before. So like, this problem is a shared responsibility. I'm gonna vote no on this budget, and I hope that we break it down and rebuild it, because it's not working. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the motion to approve the budget? Supervisor Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a tendency to agree with what was just expressed. The look to my constituency, who have been mentioned it to me when I told them that we're raising the budget by 2.6%, they're basically flabbergasted with the county sales tax and the 7.5 million or 7 million that came in. Everybody's wondering, what did that go for? So I can't support a budget that has any increase. So Bob used the terms holding the line when he first distributed his budget letter. And I was under the impression that holding the line meant 0. So I was rather taken aback, and I don't have a solution either, other than the county exec who leads us would get to the departments with various mandates to control any raise in the property tax, because they're getting pounded with various other entities that are increasing taxes as well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Supervisor Benke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I get what most of the comments that said that they were frustrated with the sales tax. I was too, looking for more to come out of that. My biggest concern is when comments are made that we are not going to support the budget, and just, that's the easiest vote to make. Easiest vote to make. I can make and vote no on this budget, and it may pass, but I'm not going to do anything about it. I talked to the sheriff. The sheriff said he had 2 supervisors call him and discuss anything. That's it. 2 supervisors. Very, very concerning. The $7.5 million from last year backfilled the current budget. So that's $7.5 million. Looking for 8.1 in the 2026 budget. So that gives you 600,000. Net new construction gained us 0.83%, $274,000. So let's just round that up to 900,000. The 20% increase to the employees, we are also paying 20%. That number is $1.1 million for us to cover our 20% increase. So where'd that $900,000 go? It's gone. So now you're behind the 8 ball. Talked to Craig Bright today. Just our utility costs for public works went up, is estimated to go up $100,000. So if our departments are getting hit like that all around, that's just an example. That's where a lot of the money is going. I agree. The sales tax, I was looking too for that promised land money to be able to do things that we want to do. I'm right there with you. But that's where the money went, and that's where the money's going, whether you like it or not. And if you're going to vote no on the budget, that's fine. You have a right to do that. But you also have a right to say, how are you going to fix it? How are you going to fix it? Just voting no is the easiest vote to make. But if you're going to sit there and not do anything to try to fix it, you're part of the problem. I talked to department directors over the last week. JJ's sick of me calling. I talked to Brown County Sheriff's Department, the captains, about the Axon system. I talked to Wazaki County about their system and got good reviews from both of them. Talked to a city officer. Talked to a lot of people. Did my work, did the research, did my job. But if you're just going to come to this meeting and vote no, just vote no without any suggestions on how to fix this, you're not doing your job. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Supervisor Ryan Phipps.
Thank you, Chairman Martell. Just 2 things I'd like to add real quickly. Is that my suggestions have been about 3.5 years ago, because I seen this problem coming, and everybody who served with me knew that I spoke the truth when I said it, and we still allowed this to happen. Second point is that I tried to adjust the budget last year on human service positions, and Bob Ziegelbauer is the only one that listened to me. He ended up adjusting the budget after it was approved by the county board. Third is that everybody that sits on here, sometimes I think we just forget about the average person. Because the average person has utility increase, they have tax increases, they have a sales tax increase, they have uncertainty with the economy, they have inflation. Like, we talk about the county's expense, but everybody has expenses go up. It's kind of like the windows and the HVAC system, right? You guys heard me talk about it last year. My furnace is 30-some years old. I'd like a new furnace, but it's still running, so I'm not going to replace it until it breaks. Now, that's not exactly the same thing, but the concept's there, right? Like, my windows are old in my house. I do it for a living, but yet I only replace what I can afford. And if I can't afford it, I don't replace it. So a fun reminder that I like to remind is, how many buildings have we bought? How much money have we spent in the last 3.5 years? So if we were looking for cost savings, that would have been a good time. And just think of all the interest we would have saved too. So I understand it's frustrating, and I understand people don't like me voting no, but it's not like I haven't had solutions or tried to be part of solutions. And I've done it as kind and respectful as I possibly could. My last point is that we had a rule change, so like now it's really hard for me to even change anything from the floor because I have to go to each individual meeting, which I have talked to several supervisors, talked to directors, I've went to some of the meetings. So like, I understand it's frustrating that I can't go to every meeting, but I do go to the meetings and I do talk to people. And I think most of the people here share the same frustrations I do. It's just not all of them are willing to speak about it. So, thank you, Chairman Martell.
Thank you. Supervisor Metzger.
I guess I feel that we need to each think about what we want to do instead of what the rest of the committee wants. I think that we're not open enough. You know, like if one or two people want to do something in a committee, then the rest all stick with it, and there's no other ideas ever proposed. And the other thought is, Kurt Green had mentioned that we could have revenue on something in his department that we only charge $50, where he said we could be charging $150 per death. And why haven't we done anything with that? Instead, people are just making a frown on him because he was very outspoken the other night, which, you know, he shouldn't have done that way, but like I said, that's revenue. You know, there's money to be made. I mean, we'd have to talk to him about it again, you know, find out how much about per year or whatever. But I feel thinking about all of this with the budget, I've been trying to come up with savings, but nobody will ever support me. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is everything in this budget something I want? No. There's things in this budget I'm not comfortable with. One of them are the wages for the employees, but I also understand where we are. We basically have to provide the services the state of Wisconsin tells us we must provide. So there's not a lot of get rid of this, get rid of that. We have to do what we're told to do. We have to provide those things. Can we cut things? I guess we could cut extension. That's not a mandated thing. It's not a huge bill. We get a lot of grant money from the state of Wisconsin to have a program like that. We could get rid of parks. We could close them down to save money. Is that something we need, have to have? No, it's something that maybe the people in the county like. And that's one of the things that scares me a little bit when I start hearing about cutting and providing just the basics. We are one of 10 counties in the state of Wisconsin that has lost population since 1970. The only other big county was Milwaukee County. The rest of the counties that have lost population are mostly up north, the old logging counties, the woods, that had a lot to do with lumber, and some of the mining counties down in the southwestern part of the state. So we have to find a way to grow. You want to find out why we're having a hard time finding some workers? Because if you don't grow since 1970, many of the people in your county are going to have the same color hair that I do. We haven't increased our population. We haven't brought in young families, young people, young workers. So until we provide an environment where people want to come and start moving here, we're going to struggle with that. If I look at the tax increases for the county this year, 2-point-some%, that's pretty cheap. Considering the city of Manitowoc, the Board of Education, we're increasing, and knowing how the executive has done things in the past, I know it was hard for him to increase taxes that way. But the cost of human services has gone up. There's a cost of the program for the county sheriff. Could we have done that cheaper? Possibly. But we looked at what he needed, what he wanted, the program he wanted over the next 5 years, and we said, let's go with that. Could we have done that cheaper? Yeah, we could have saved probably some money, but we did what the sheriff wanted to do for two reasons: to protect his officers the best he could, and to protect the citizens in the county as well. So sometimes we had to spend money. I will take the $60 a year that my house paid in half-cent sales tax rather than a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% tax increase on my property taxes. The Rolling Stones had a song saying you can't always get what you want, but sometimes you get what you need. I don't see a lot of things in this budget that are not a need. What can we cut? What's in here are needs. We're going to cut 0% increase for the workers? Are we going to cut what we put into the health department, their health insurance, cut that, make them pay more? You know, they're getting 1%, but we're picking up a lot of that health, so it's not quite 1% or 2% as it turns out to be. You don't always get everything you want. This budget does not have a lot of extras. There aren't a lot of things in this budget that are something that we could have saved money on. Yes, maybe the cameras and the sheriff's thing, yeah, maybe. But that was a proposal. After talking to different groups, different departments, it's probably going to be a good deal for us. So the option is, you don't vote for this budget? All right, I guess we start over again. Or maybe you say, okay, is it something that I get some of the things I want, there's some things I'm not happy, but I'm going to vote anyway. And I tell you what, if we're only going a 2%, 2-something% tax increase from the county, that's not bad. Is it perfect? No. But then put in how much the city is going up, put how much the school districts are going up, Lakeshore College, it's not LTC anymore, how much that's going up. And I think we're sitting pretty good in the budget that we put together for increasing taxes on our citizens. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Supervisor Matthew Phipps.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to say thank you for everyone's comments thus far. The biggest concern that I'm seeing is the state of reality by us trying to balance or create a budget on our debt services. So essentially, we're about $30 million in debt as of right now, and to soften the blow of 2.5% increase to our taxpayers, to make the budget seem better, we are just continuing to now use essentially borrowing money to operate our county, and that's just fiscally not transparent in commonplace to explain that to taxpayers. It doesn't sit real well with them understanding the whole picture that we are just continuing to go in debt deeper and deeper to soften this blow of the 0.5% sales tax. So we're on a very, very slippery slope on how we're trying to navigate, and I understand completely the budget and the amendments that we've made to try to make it as best we could, but a couple comments from supervisors before already is, where's that money going to be coming from? Well, it's just coming from thin air, because we're just going to continue to borrow against ourselves to make this happen. So I just am not comfortable with having a budget that's continually just going to continue to be borrowing more and more to exist, to essentially have our operating expenses. So the solution that I would come up with is similar to what I said last year, which I thought we would kind of get through an executive, is that we would have a plan to reduce our budget in some manner through department heads or reports, that we could somehow try to get this a little closer to where we need to not just continue to borrow more and more money. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Zimmer.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thanks. Let's see, I've been on the county board since 2014, and we always seem to muddle our way through, but I think we do a pretty good job of muddling. I thought one of the bravest things that, I don't know if brave is the right word, but one of the wisest things we did was to support Sheriff Hartwig's request for body cameras and tasers using the Axon system. Thank God we had the wisdom to support that, because policemen and women are moving targets today in America. If you ever watch YouTube and see that program that they show where they show body cam on police officers who make traffic stops, it will frighten you. They are on the front lines, and there are a lot of people who have absolutely no respect for our law enforcement officers, and they are in danger. And in fact, when you watch that program, you'll see how many of these stops are by county sheriffs on lesser traveled roads. And so giving the sheriff what he rightfully requested was a great move. We ought to be proud of ourselves. As far as I know, we don't borrow that much. The state gives us a maximum of what we are allowed to borrow, and we've always been around 10% or less. So I don't think we're doing such a bad job, and I fully support this budget tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Hummel.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Am I happy with this budget? No. Is there work to do in the future? Yes. I have done more research this year than I think I've ever imagined of doing. And I got to give and take a little bit. I like what we've brought. I'm glad we made some amendments. It shows that we're all engaged. Are there some things I'd love to change? Yeah, absolutely. Is it time now to change them? That's for us to decide tonight. But looking back, I thought about, well, let's maybe cut some highway projects. And I haul manure on the side for a part-time job, and I'm going up and down some of these roads, and I'm like, that's not a good idea. We're still playing catch-up from years ago when they didn't do hardly any paving, and that's kind of hurting us right now. Years ago, the paved roads were probably half the cost. So I kick that can down the road. I don't think that's a feasible thing to do. Now, as we keep doing 15, 16, 17 miles of road a year, can we maybe cut that back in the future? Potentially. But right now, I think we need to keep moving forward with that. Is there some areas in human services that can maybe be looked at in the future? Yeah, but it's not a 11th hour decision, in my opinion. And that might be for the next board that's going to be elected in April, or there's going to be a changing in the guard of the county executive. Maybe there's going to be some reform done by whoever may get it. I'm not happy that we're having to kind of borrow money for raises, even though we're not borrowing for raises. We're borrowing for public works projects. But a 1% is a slap in the face to the great people that work for this county. 2% is not great, especially with inflation, but it's better than 1. And it shows that we try and we do care. Sometimes that's a moral inside of employees' mind. It's going to be hard for me to vote yes on this budget, but I think I'm going to. I've done a lot of work, along with some other dedicated supervisors, and it hurts to potentially vote yes for this. But I can tell my constituents that I went out and talked to department heads. I've talked to the county executive to try to maybe mitigate this tough decision, but that's where I'm at. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Niles.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Supervisor Hamel, I was going to say, don't you touch Highway XX. Don't you touch that road. You let that in there. So I just wanted to comment on some of the issues or maybe some of the tools that we have to our disposal throughout the year to address these budget issues and not wait till the end. There's a tool, it's called the budget versus actual. It comes out, I assume, monthly from all the departments. It gives an illustrated, in-depth view of what's being spent on what line items, where we stand with the budgeted items versus the actual spend. That's a great tool to identify shortcomings or maybe wasteful spending that we can maybe address come budget time. It's a tool that's available to all of us upon request, and it would probably really be something that if you have a major issue with how the budget process is, it's a great place to start. And then at that point, if one were so inclined to choose to change the budget process, maybe that's something that can be discussed throughout the year, creating an ad hoc committee or something to that effect to look into it. I understand the frustration with how people feel with this budget. It's by far not perfect. It is a utilitarian budget. We need to do this to keep us moving, and hopefully we can address some of these concerns in 2026 so that our process for 2027 is a little bit smoother. And we have the time, we have the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll jump in case anybody else wants to jump in as well. I just don't like always speaking at the end. I mean, I think a lot of us are extremely frustrated with this budget, with the process, with the direction that our county is heading. I mean, even those of you who are saying you're going to vote for the budget, I'm not hearing much enthusiasm for that budget because I think we all recognize the reality. And I can't fault anybody for falling on one side or the other because the reality is this is not where we anticipated that we would be just a couple of years ago. I mean, we had a significant budget deficit, which is caused by our lack of transparency and our lack of budget, or a lack of checks and balances, a lack of an open process. I think we made some strides to fix that with the budget ordinance that we passed this year, and quite frankly, I'm very impressed with the changes that the county board has made. I mean, I've been on the county board now 5 years, and this previous budget process in 2025 and the budget process here are the first times that we were amending the budget and talking about it with our department heads, and they were coming to our meetings. So I think we need to commend ourselves for having this budget presented on October 7th, and less than a month later, we've made some changes. But in my view, we've still just put lipstick on a pig. And I worry that those changes that we made, those positive changes that were made, will face a veto. And we're going to be here next week looking at having to add some of those things back in. Structurally, our operations are not in good shape when we have to continually rely on borrowing. I know we like to talk about how our debt is very well below the statutory maximum, but have you ever considered how extremely high that statutory maximum actually is? It's in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Our debt's increased by almost a third in just the last 4 years. And while we can say we're low compared to what we maximum could, that puts a strain on our operations when every year we're adding debt service and interest payments to our operations. I mean, we spend about $3.7 million a year just on paying back debt and on interest. And it doesn't seem like there's much of a plan in place to prevent that from happening. And when our budget is tight, it's going to continue to squeeze our operations. We're using one-time money. I've expressed my frustration with the opioid settlement. We've spent that money. Yes, we will get some more left, or we'll get some more until 2038, but those payments are going to start decreasing. When I asked the Human Services Director and the County Executive, what's the plan when we don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars in opioid money next year to support and supplant things that are being done in human services? Mass layoffs, major service cuts. I'm worried that we continually are kicking this can further and further down the road until we get to another mess. We don't have the sales tax as an ace in the hole to fix the next mess. When we voted for that sales tax, Supervisor Phipps brought it up, we're told that it would be able to hold the line on property taxes for a generation. And here we are a year later on the second budget with the sales tax, and we're talking about a 2.6% increase to our property tax payers. Owning a home is expensive. We're looking at both ends of the spectrum. People who have paid off their homes and who are in their homes, it's not just 2.6%. That might mean the difference of, okay, I might need to look at selling my home or moving into renting. Or for people who are my age and younger looking to get into home ownership, that $60 year after year after year, that can change their debt to income ratio and prevent them from qualifying for a mortgage. I mean, if you look at the average price of a home in Manitowoc County over the last few years, people are starting to get priced out of being able to buy a home. And that's a concern that we have to take seriously. I know that this is the 11th hour. This is not the time to be making major reform in our budget. We have to do that work throughout the year leading up to this point so we can present a plan. There are areas we can look at. Yes, we're required to do a lot by the state, but the level at which we do that, the systems we have in place to carry that out, those things are things that we need to be looking at to make sure that we are providing the best bang for our buck for our taxpayers. It's a sad state of affairs that we have to look at our employees and squabble over 1% or 2%. We had a 4-hour meeting about spending less than $100,000 for things that our constitutional officers need to do the things that they are required. We shouldn't be in this position. Yet we are, and we have to face that reality. And so when we say, well, we have to pass a budget, I'm with you. And when we say this process is broken and that we need to be able to make these changes, we need to be able to have the collaboration and the dialogue with one another through our committee structure, with our county executive, with our department heads, it doesn't have to be this way. So I'm frustrated. I hear you're all frustrated. I think our frustration is leaving us to maybe vote different ways tonight, but I think the message is pretty clear from this county board that we know it can be better. It has to be better. And hopefully we can make those changes so that way next year when we're in the same position, it is better. So that's all I'll say on the budget, and I see my comments. We have a light up on the board, so we'll go to Supervisor Benke.
Mr. Chair, just a little bit of housekeeping to the fact that, again, we had that process from last year, and we all understand when we were here last year, it was a very ugly process. So I still remind supervisors to work with the department directors, work with JJ. So if you have an amendment to come to this budget process, go to him. He may not like what you're wanting to do, but at least you can put an amendment in a format that's a proper format with the dollars attached to it. So I encourage you to use that process, not come and just, I'm not picking on you, Supervisor Phipps, but you motioned to eliminate 3 positions. That was your motion, and you didn't put the dollars to it. And I actually would have supported it because I thought was a good amendment, but it was an improper motion. but I thought it was a good idea. So use JJ, use the department to, if you have amendments, he'll help. He may not like what you want to do, but it's your choice. I have the same concern. We have one-time money. We have $683,000 that were put from the general fund to backfill the health insurance fund. $950,000 of opioid money. $953,000 of ARPA money. That money's gone. That's not going to be there next year. Very concerning. $450,000 from the surplus to the 2026 budget. That's another $450,000 that pretty sure is not going to be there. So yeah, do I have concern about our processes? Yes, I do. I have concern about one-time money going in here, or going and being moved around the budget, very concerning. Very concerning that we offered our employees 1%. The fact that we have wage compression within our county employees and what we're paying our county employees, and we're going to offer 1%, I thought that was very concerning. So I tried to do something. And the only way I could do it was looking at the sheet that's got all the yellow lines on it. On the top it says Capital Projects Report. The county executive says we shouldn't be borrowing that money for operations. That's capital. It wouldn't say capital. That's consistent with his, in the past, we borrowed for capital. We borrowed for the HVAC system and the windows on the courthouse. Capital. So you may say we're borrowing money for the employees 1%. We're borrowing the money for the capital project, and we're deciding to use that money for the 1% increase in the wage. If somebody else can find $370,000 within the budget that you want to put a motion up, I'm listening. I'm more than happy to listen, but you find it, got to find it. If you want that extra 1%, which is, we need that extra 1%. I don't think there's a lot of people here that are arguing that point. So if you find it, let me know. I'm more than willing to listen. But to me, this solution is the best solution for the time, for this budget. My concern is the next budget. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And you started your comments with a little bit of housekeeping, so I just wanted to, also a little housekeeping. On the motion that we made to amend the nepotism policy, we said it was lines 150 through 184. Corp Counsel let me know that we need to also take out lines 147, 48, and 49. Since it doesn't substantially change the original motion, just know that that was taken out as well. Okay. Supervisor Matthew Phipps.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to highlight a little bit about the debt services, just to summarize for some of the questions. So in the proposed budget, we would be at $31,900,000 for the upcoming year. And as you can look at our debt service loans we've had here, we have 8 of them at the particular time. And if you look back in 2021, the real concern that nobody's talked about tonight, that I'm saying, I'm completely okay with using debt to fund things. However, we cannot sustain this, and Mr. Banky said this, what would be the next budget coming up, if we get above 5% interest rate on these debts. So right now, if you look at the sheet, page 39, it lays it out pretty nicely, but you can look at the interest rates that we have on our outstanding debt, and we are going to be going to 5% on this next one for the general obligation projects. And the real concern is that fiscally this is going to be not possible to make sense to keep on having loans that are going to be above 5% to balance the budget quotations so that we can operate. So I do understand the comments by the other supervisors saying that if you have suggestions, please present them. And I'm saying that we are men and women here and we have a vote yes or no. All the other stuff besides us talking really isn't going to change anything. So in the instance of, do I accept that we are gonna continue to not have a plan. If I vote yes, I'm saying, yes, this is the lesser of two evils, that it's okay and we're gonna be okay, but next year will be the biggest problem. But I believe if I vote no, I'm saying that, hey, we have to have a stopgap at some point in time, and we need to make a change. And that change is very hard, and nobody wants to make that change. But something's gonna have to happen, otherwise we're gonna continue to live in a fairyland of adding more debt, getting further, deeper in debt, and then borrowing more to exist. So I understand debt can be used very effectively at lower interest rates, but if we continue to climb with our interest rates, it's not sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Zimmer, this will be your second.
Yeah, yes, sir, thank you. You mentioned our level of borrowing. Look at the 71 other counties in Wisconsin and see where they are vis-a-vis their maximum that the state government will allow them to borrow. We, I argue, are being very fiscally prudent in general. Now, folks, the best thing that ever happened to me when I was 6 months out of high school and living in Chicago and wandering around the streets was when the Army drafted me, okay? The quality of life in Manitowoc County is very, very high. We ought to be thanking our lucky stars we live here, and that doesn't come cheap, all right? But I argue if we want to have the same quality of life today that then it's going to cost money, and we're going to have to figure out a way to, as I said earlier, muddle our way through to continue our prosperity. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Zimmer. Supervisor Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm trying to deliberate my role as a supervisor. And I believe it is to represent the constituency that elected me here. As far as running the county government, that's totally and exclusively on the shoulders of the county executive and the department heads. We provide oversight, insight, maybe, but how many people are qualified to be an accountant analyst inside of a publicly voted position? That's why you have a county government structure. And that county government structure sits at county executive. He presented the budget originally, and we are debating various adjustments to it. But it's his budget, and he has control over the department heads. And they are very knowledgeable about their departments. I mentioned this in my first term, right? If you want something done at the county level, it's not at a supervisor level, it's at the county executive level and department head levels. They know what can be cut, what can't be cut, how they can do more with less, etc. So I think to put it on the shoulders of the county supervisors is an inappropriate position for the supervisor. We're representing the people, and the people don't want raised taxes. And until that changes, I don't see any other vote for me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Supervisor Lillibridge.
Thank you, Chairman Martell. I just want to speak to the RFP for the body cams. I had the privilege to speak with Brown County captain for a significant amount of time, and also with the captain from Appleton PD. And the thing that I asked each of them after we were done talking, I says, as you look back, does the things that have happened, Appleton's on their third contract, so they started in 2013, Brown County's on their second. I says, does your experience with Axon reinforce the wisdom of your original choice? And the guy from, the captain from Brown County says, look, I don't have any, I want what we have to work. I don't care if it's Axon. I want it to work. He says, what we got works amazingly well. He says, there's so many intangibles, I can't describe them to you. So just one thing, for instance, he says, they have 153 body cameras up there. They have about 54 squads. So every 2.5 years, they get this huge box with 153 cameras in them. They take the old ones and hand out the new ones. So that's built into the contract. The other thing, the Appleton PD captain, I says, well, do some of the ones you get back, I mean, are they beat up? He says, you know, cops break everything. So, yeah, they're rough on them. So the way the system interacts with everything, the cameras talk to evidence.com. Evidence.com interfaces with the dispatch system. They have their phones that they can use to capture on-site a recording that doesn't store on the camera. It goes straight into evidence.com with the appropriate, I don't know how you describe it, but so it's usable as evidence. So this system that Axon has put together, their chief executive is extremely well compensated, and his compensation is tied to the success of that company. So is it a Cadillac? No, maybe. Is it the best? Probably. So I agree with what's been said earlier. Our sheriff has asked for something. Can we provide a Chevette type level of service? Yeah, but I never did like that car. You know, it's like a Flintstone car. And or can we provide something that's plenty adequate, but has potential for growth, and it's just, okay, I'll go with the Cadillac system. It's a great system, and they continue to improve it. So they're not some fly-by-night organization, but I was so impressed with what these folks tell me they're able to do. And, you know, Appleton spent over an hour with me. Brown County spent nearly an hour with me. So I'm not going to take 2 hours to tell you what they told me, but truly, it's a mind-boggling piece of software system that they have, and I think our sheriff department deserves it, and I don't think the bid was rigged. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, amendments on the budget? Anybody else want to speak on the budget? Okay, seeing none, the clerk will conduct the vote.
Supervisors will now vote on the resolution as amended, adopting 2026 budget and property levy as proposed by Finance Committee.
And the budget is adopted 14-10. Oh, yeah. Okay, that takes us to you have another ordinance.
Yes, I do, and the discussion will be twice as long. But before we get that, you mentioned it, Chairman Martell, that we had a lot of supervisors involved this year. Even tonight down in the basement. Just a big thank you to those that came out and took in a little bit more, and a big thanks to the Finance Committee. What I like about this committee, and this is the way government should run, is you can disagree with each other and you can talk to each other, and in the end you come out and decisions are pretty much thought out and well made, so I appreciate the Finance Committee very much. So, getting on to the ordinance, the IT department was in the same, they were under the, what is the word I'm looking for? They were under the supervision of the buildings. And it has been decided that we should take them away from that supervision and let them be independent, because they really don't have much to do with taking care of buildings and roads and those kind of things. So what we did is came up with an ordinance to separate them, and they will have a separate department. That went through finance. It's going to take 2/3 because it's an ordinance. Am I correct there? Nope, just majority? Oh, good. You just never know. So, Mr. Chairman, I will move that we accept the new ordinance making IT department independent and no longer under the control of the,
Works.
I forgot my cheaters tonight, so I couldn't read this. Under Public Works, so I move that we do that. Looking.
Motion by Supervisor Hanson, second by Supervisor Hacker. Any discussion, Supervisor Heilman?
Just wondering if they're gonna be their own department, are we gonna have to hire some kind of supervisor to look that over, or are we gonna handle that somehow?
Yeah. We already have a director who will be in charge of, who will be the department director for the Information Systems Department. It's a current employee.
Does that satisfy your question? Thank you. Supervisor Matthew Phipps.
To clarify, is there any budget impact?
Budgetary impacts are probably nominal. The individual who's going to take over as department director probably had, and included in the budget is an increase in salary commensurate with becoming a department director rather than a division head. What that number is, I don't know off the top of my head.
I'm not sure either off the top of my head, but it was in the budget that was just approved. Small. Probably not enough, right?
This wage you're discussing was or is in the budget? Okay.
All right, any other, Supervisor Hyman, did you have something else to say? Okay. Okay, any other discussion on the ordinance? Okay, seeing none, the clerk will conduct the vote.
Supervisors will now vote on the ordinance amending Manitowoc County Code, Chapter 1, County Organization, and Chapter 2, County Departments and Agencies.
All right, and that ordinance is adopted. Anything else, Supervisor Hanson?
No.
Wonderful. Highway Committee, Supervisor Benke.
I have no report. We are meeting on the 11th of November.
Goodness, these microphones. Thank you, Supervisor Benke. Supervisor Klein, do you have a Human Services Board report?
No report. Next meeting is December 11th at 415 J Street. Thank you.
Thank you. Land Conservation Committee and UW Extension Education and Agriculture Committee, Supervisor Ryan Phipps.
Thank you, Chairman Martell. I have no report.
Thank you. Personnel Committee, Supervisor Marsh.
Thank you. We met right before the county board meeting and discussed items that were in the budget and also about the, looked at recruitment in the county. Our next meeting is December 2nd.
Thank you. Planning and Park Commission, Supervisor Falkowski.
No report and no report for public safety.
You're a step ahead of me. Public Works, Supervisor Sikowitz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No report, and our next meeting will be on Wednesday, November 12th. Thank you.
Thank you. Transportation Coordinating Committee, Supervisor Hacker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The TCC was originally scheduled to meet last week, Wednesday. We didn't have a quorum, and so that meeting is rescheduled for tomorrow, and that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. That takes us to announcements. We have a couple of announcements tonight. Okay. You look like you're getting ready. So our next regular county board meeting is not until December, scheduled for December 16th. So we've got a while before we see each other again on the regular schedule. However, if you recall, I think we discussed potentially setting aside next week, Tuesday, for any potential veto overrides that we may have to consider. I do want to keep that date open because some communication with supervisors has informed me that there may be a number of you who may not be able to make that meeting. And so I guess what I would ask of all of you is, looking at the next week or so, please send me any dates that are absolutely, you're not available to meet. Because in speaking with Corporation Counsel, if we are to consider a veto override, we would need 2/3 of the entire body, not of the members present. And so if we're gonna have a few absences, I would wanna make sure that we consider that. So kind of look at the next 2 weeks up until what's the last day we could meet? Friday, the 15th? That's a Saturday, but we could meet on a Saturday if absolutely necessary. Just please send me any dates that are in major conflict with your schedule, or maybe the county executive will approve the budget as passed. The other, that was the only, maybe, who knows, we don't know. Then our county clerk has an announcement regarding the packet that's been left on your desk, so she's gonna tell you a little bit about that.
So each of you have your candidate packet on your desk with the district map on top. We will be emailing the packet for electronically as well tomorrow. In that packet does include a letter with specific deadlines. If you do not plan to run again, we do need to have a notification of non-candidacy by December 26th at the latest. If you do intend to run, you have your checklist and then all the other documents you need to complete and turn into our office by January 6th. Okay, if you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to reach out to our office. We are more than happy to look over your headings of your nomination papers to make sure everything counts. We're here for you guys.
Okay, and then I just want to say, I really commend this board for our collegiality. I mean, we're never yelling at each other. We might disagree. We have differences of opinion, but I think this is a place that maybe some higher levels of government should look to when they're talking about their budget and spending the taxpayers' money, because we can have fierce disagreement, but share a laugh with one another and work well together. So thank you for the productive discussion this evening. Any other announcements? Otherwise, I'd be entertaining a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn by Supervisor Engelbrecht. Oh, I'm sorry, you wanted to make an announcement.
I just wanted to have everybody pray for Mr. Nadel. He has undergone, from what I understand, his third time for throat cancer, so that's why he's not here tonight, so just keep him in your prayers.
Thank you, Supervisor Sikowitz. Was that a motion to adjourn? Okay, motion to adjourn by Supervisor Engelbrecht. Second by Supervisor